Back in 2011, journalist and author Michael Scott Moore agreed to write a book about the pirates who'd been plaguing the coast of East Africa. He'd hoped to get close to his subject, but not as close as he got. Soon after arriving in Somalia in January of 2012, Moore was captured by pirates. He was held prisoner for more than 2.5 years until a ransom secured his freedom.
Michael Scott Moore details his harrowing journey in the new book, In the Desert and the Sea, 977 days captive on the Somali Pirate Coast. And he joins us at the table this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask a question your mother would ask. What were you thinking? We know you wanted to tell the story, but what were you thinking when you went out there?
Well, I went there after covering a trial for about a year in Hamburg of 10 Somali pirates who were arrested trying to capture a German ship. So I was deep in the story already, and I went with a documentary maker who was also interested in doing something down there. So we planned the trip for a long time, and finally in early 2012 we went down there.
I'm sorry. I can continue.
No, and spent a couple of weeks researching.
What actually led to the spread of piracy in the region?
Well, it started with illegal fishing. You hear all the time that pirates are just frustrated fishermen, but it's not quite that simple. The roots of piracy, though, are in the fact that Somalia lost its government in about 1991, and in the 90s there was a lot of illegal fishing off the coast, and there were Somali regions that were trying to defend the coastline.
You attempted escape many times. What fueled your... Once, but what fueled that?
Well, anger. No, I didn't like being a hostage. And they, after about 3 months, they captured me on land, but after about 3 months, they placed me on a fishing ship, a lot like the fishing ship on the cover of the book. And it was a tuna vessel that they had captured, not in Somali territorial waters, by the way. They went out hundreds of miles and captured it. And I spent the summer of 2012 on this ship, and I'm also a surfer. And after a while, well, once the anchor chain broke, something went very wrong on the ship. I decided to try and escape.
You know, when you spend that much time, obviously you're being held captive, but what did you learn about them that maybe you wouldn't have? I know that sounds crazy, but that you wouldn't have if you had not been around them for that amount of time.
Oh, well, the most surprising part was that most of my guards were very devout Muslims. I didn't think going in that I would find anyone who was sort of self-deceptive enough to think that they could be religious and be a pirate at the same time. But that was a contradiction that took a while for me to figure out.
One of the ways you got through this was actually practicing yoga.
Yeah.
And in some cases, practicing yoga with your captor.
Yeah. Well, once I was hauled off the ship and held on land in sort of a series of prison houses, there was, I actually requested a mat because at some point I realized I was going to spend a lot of time in this one house. And the floor was filthy, but I asked for a mat. And I was going to try and do yoga without the guards seeing me, but they watched me 24 hours a day. So I just started to do it. And they thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then a few of them started to join in. And after a while, they kept, because they were also not getting any exercise in this house. They were locked in too. So they kept doing it, and I would give them pointers.
What mix of emotions do you have when you were finally set free?
Yeah, that's a good question. By that point, I wasn't really capable of elation. You know, I wasn't just immediately happy. I was, first of all, I didn't believe I was going free. And then I was I felt more relaxed and lightened sort of in stages during the whole day. But it wasn't until I actually saw my family when I was back in Berlin that I really felt good.
Wow, we're glad you're here.
Me too, thank you.
We're glad you're safe. Michael Scott Moore, we appreciate you talking about this.
Thank you very much.